your city, yeah. Got my toes in the sand.
I think I got some wanderlust, but I don't give a damn. Touching down on the asphalt, passport stamps, don't know when all ends.
Hey, I ain't really trying to fuss about it. I just wanna take off on a Boeing jet. All I got's a little duffel bag full of underwear and a swim set. I'm getting comfy in the waiting room. Sweats on in the dead of June. Beats on when I'm dancing out to the best tunes. See me, I'm Millie rocking on a jumbo jet. Turbulence got me feeling stressed, but panicking won't get me anywhere, so I'ma get some rest. I wake up in a different time zone. I'm hyped, but I'm balling on a tight budget. Airbnb skipping meals, and I ain't bringing back nothing. Hey, beans and toast down in London town. Joe Berg for the bunny chow. Go to Seoul and see 21, yeah, it's going down. Chichen Itza for the pyramids. Haggling to get the better biz. Try to scam me, cause I'm 4'9", homie, I already know your tricks. Hell yeah.
7-footers. Here we are again, another great day to listen to an NBA basketball podcast. Jenna and Jarod.
Yeah, we're here. It's a little chilly out here in these NYC streets.
It's chilly out, but in our studio, it is red hot because Jarod is wearing a printed floral shirt.
Yep, some printed florals,
Pulling out all the stops.
Trying to, just get into the holiday festive mood.
Festive holiday mood.
You're rocking blue light glasses because you're trying to keep your circadian rhythms on point and get into deeper REM.
I am. I got these from Pixel Eyewear. Shout out, guys. They block the blue light from computer screens, cell phones, everything.
Right.
So I think I'm trying to anti-age right now.
Well, listen,
keep these
we are tethered
fresh
to these devices, and they really are. They're messing with our sleep. So.
Exactly, especially when we're checking all the top stories going on around the association.
Everything happening in the association.
Exactly. So let's jump into it here because we had NBA champion Kawhi Leonard, who got his ring when the Clippers went to Toronto and got the dub.
Yeah.
Against Kawhi's old team.
Yeah.
And it's interesting here. His return was, obviously it was bittersweet.
Right.
He had a lot to say after, which is a rare thing for Kawhi.
Talking, you mean?
Yeah. So first of all, let's just tell you guys, if you didn't see the game, the Clips got the dub, 112-92.
Yep.
Kawhi obviously showed out per usual. Got his nice ring. Did you see a close up of that ring?
That ring's crazy. First of all, would you even wear that thing out?
Literally.
Where would you wear that?
You keep it like a trophy case, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, that's one of the things you show to people.
Oh my gosh, so nice though. Well deserved. The man.
It was
was incredible in that series.
It was interesting because I was talking to people, and people were actually wondering what kind of response did I think Kawhi was going to get. I was like, he's going to get absolutely cheered.
I was going to say, yeah.
What else would it be? This isn't a situation where Kawhi was drafted by the Raptors and he demanded a trade or whatever, or even a situation where he was drafted there, played there for several years, and was a free agent and said, I'm leaving. He got traded there by the Spurs, and he was there for 1 year. He had 1 year left on his deal. He won you a championship in his 1 year. What? I don't really know what else. People in Toronto were happy with that.
Exactly. He went to Toronto. He gave them their first championship.
Yeah. Of course, they would love for him to resign and come back.
Of course. But I don't think that, and I think that you would agree, and most people, I hope, that there was no expectation for him that he had to stay. It wasn't a LeBron leaving Cleveland situation, anything like that.
Right.
And he was met in Toronto when he got there with nice billboards, guy billboards, and it was a nice welcome. And
it was nice to actually see fans behave well.
Yes. I feel like we only report on or see that, people are either getting booed or they're getting this and that.
And booing, whatever. I don't care about that. But sometimes when we talk about this, fans cross the line and go overboard.
Oh, we've had that conversation on here, honey.
And I just like the fact that they, again, they were probably sad that he's not there with them going forward long term, but he won them a chip.
Exactly.
So they have nothing but love. He will forever be able to not have to worry about buying a drink in the city of Toronto ever again for the rest of his life. Like,
didn't he get when he left? Didn't he get something like, unless some of the establishments were trying to get him to stay by offering him things like free Uber rides for life and
all kinds of things. No, it was
free food and stuff.
It was great. I actually there's a funny clip from the post game that I want to play when Kawhi's talking about his ring. And
let's hear it.
I don't know, like, what do you know about the ring situation with Toronto?
What do you mean specifically?
Like, design wise, like, you know.
I don't know much about the design or anything like that, but I have seen it. I like it.
So it's
gold, I believe,
yeah,
right?
Gold, yeah, gold.
Which is different.
There's diamonds everywhere.
Yeah.
And the players got to put like of what it seems like a different, like, sort of little signature on the inside of like
yes, okay,
of their individual ring. So Kawhi Kawhi talked about his post game.
It's my 9th year. I've been through a lot of ups and downs with emotions, and as far as going through playoffs and, you know, having bad and good games. So it's kind of like that, just kind of controlling it. But, you know, coming out in the first 4 minutes, I seen the game plan that they're running. They're putting two on the ball, on me and Paul every possession, double teaming my post up. So when that happens, I'm going to take my time and just wait for my open shot to come and just, you know, not try to overdo it.
Any special plans for tonight?
Individual message inside the ring that everybody got. Is there any chance you can share what you got inscribed as yours?
Inside the ring?
Yeah.
I have a logo in there, and it's on my middle finger, so it reminds me to put it on my middle finger. So I have like a FU symbol on there.
Any special plans for
Are you kidding me?
Like, it's just classic Kawhi. He's like, it reminds me to put it on my middle finger. I got like a little FU symbol.
And
in
the
there.
and the thing is, it's hysterical. And I'm not poking fun. I'm not saying it in any type of shade way. Every time he speaks, I just crack up because he could honestly have just won the lottery and he'd be like, yeah, it was great. I bought the ticket.
It's interesting because all his teammates say it too. They're like, look, Kawhi's actually a funny guy and like, is engaging. He just, you know, and I think
he's not a flashy spotlight guy.
But I also think now, like, it's part of his bit. And I think he's just gonna kind of roll with it. Like,
that's right.
He's like, you know what? Like, everyone thinks I'm like not a fun guy. Like, I'm just gonna play into it.
Fun guy.
You know what I mean?
I love it.
No, it's great, and it was good to see him get honored and him get his ring, and
just so well deserved.
Yeah, and look, that's 2 championships for Kawhi, right? 1 in Toronto, 1 in San Antonio, 2-time Finals MVP. I mean.
Hey, he could throw in the towel tomorrow, and his legacy would be insane.
He's already on a short list. I mean,
exactly.
there aren't many people who have 2 chips and 2 Finals MVPs. So
exactly.
I mean, that's incredible. So kudos to Kawhi.
And I also, really quick, on the topic of Kawhi, I found this quote really interesting in one of the articles that you sent me about him making his decision between the Clippers and everything. And he said, quote, I gave re-signing with Toronto a big consideration. I took my time. I didn't hurry up and make a quick decision. I talked to the front office in detail. It was a hard choice to make.
Yeah, I mean,
that was very respectful to the city of Toronto, for real.
For sure. And look, that's sort of indicative with how he plays basketball, right? Mm-hmm. He's never rushed, never in a hurry, taking his time. Everything is deliberate. Mm-hmm. I think he's a thoughtful person. From everything we've seen, from the brief times that I've interacted with him at games, that's who he seems like, a very thoughtful individual. And, you know, yeah, I'm sure it was hard because, like, wait a minute, we just won a title. We could probably run it back again.
And the morale was great. Everybody loves Masai.
Absolutely.
Him and Kyle Lowry got along well.
I mean, I think, look, the big thing was he got a chance to play back in Southern California where he's from.
And him and PG, they have a good friendship, too.
And play on the Clippers with Paul George. Mm-hmm. And really, you know, listen, Toronto's a great city. There aren't many bad, you know, to be a wealthy NBA, you know, champion living in Los Angeles. That's not a bad place to live.
No,
you
not
know.
at all.
So, and it's home too. So I totally get it.
I mean, yeah, Kawhi's return officially over. He got the ring.
Got the ring, got the dub.
Great acceptance. Yeah, more importantly, got the dub because, Kawhi is famous for saying, it's all about tonight. I'm all about winning.
It's all about the wins, man.
That's it. I just want to win, help my teammates. So, that's that.
Kudos.
Let's move on to my favorite topic of this week's episode because I think it's a very interesting conversation. TNT's Inside the NBA crew, they had some critical words of Joel Embiid's performance, specifically the matchup between the Sixers and the Nuggets of the big men, Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. And, it was kind of a lackluster game from Embiid, they said, despite and Jokic, despite the Sixers taking the W. A low-scoring game as well. What was it here? We had a 97-92.
Yeah, I mean, the teams played pretty good defense, but Charles and Shaq in particular had comments, and we're doing all the audio today, so I'm going to play audio from that because I thought it was good, and it's pretty long-winded, but
it is.
You daring Charles to say now?
No, we're not daring, but it's just.
No, you were. You said you dare Charles to say it.
No, we're going to say that. Embiid had 22 points, right? So when Charles and I make comments like he's not playing well, people think it's hate. It's not that it's hate, it's that we see greatness in him. 22 is okay, but it ain't great.
Shaq,
let me finish. If you have the potential to be a great player, we expect great things from you. If you just turn up a little, like
every night you want to see that.
I've always made a symbol for big guys, right, Kenny? 7 points a quarter. Yeah. If you're a big guy and you dominate, you should average 28, 10, 28, 15.
28 is what Embiid averaged a year ago, 28 and 14 rebounds.
And you know what?
He's averaging 22 this season, and that's what he had tonight.
But also, if I was playing against a guy like Joker, another guy who everybody think he's a great center.
I'm going off.
Like, I love when people say, well, we play every game the same. First of all, that's bogus. You don't play 82 games as hard as you can. But I know this. When I'm playing against Karl Malone, Kevin McHale, Larry Bird, guys who are great power forwards, my antenna is up. I want to let them know, like, no, I'm the best power forward. No, I'm the best power forward. No, I'm the best power forward. And tonight you saw these two centers who are both elite, and neither one of them, like, no, I want you to know I'm the best center. That's what I didn't like. No intensity from either one of the guys. Like Greg Anthony said it, Jokic don't want to be here tonight.
Well, Jokic, 13 shots on the night, made 7 of them for his 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists.
And so, and they go on to talk more, but we pretty much get the gist there. And Embiid responds. So why don't you read Embiid's response, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, let me give you guys this. So Embiid responded to those specific comments, and he said, quote, in a note online, he said, "That's what they do. Maybe they're right. I did think they're right. I think I need to be more aggressive and just look to impose myself and just dominate. I think the whole season I haven't done that, and you can see the way it's affecting my efficiency and my stats. So I guess I need to go back to having fun and just dominating. But I get what they're saying, and I think they're right, man. I got to make a change." I will say... Number one, he needs to make a change. Do I think, it's problematic to his season? No. I think, he'll step it up. His stats have dropped a little bit. He was a little bit lackluster, like I said earlier. But I do pretty much agree with the guys on Inside the NBA. And the question that you and I had, too, was, are they too harsh or this and that? But I think if you're going to have that kind of harsh criticism, you want it from somebody who was you. Who faced that. Because if it was, maybe me or somebody else up there, that I would be hit with, what do you know, or this and that, whatever. Say what you need to say, but there was a quote from Kenny at the end of that that I wanted to touch upon because I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay, well, you want to read that? Read Kenny's?
Okay, yeah, sure. I just didn't know if you had any tidbits left.
Oh, I got tidbits.
I'm ready. This is my favorite, like I said. So later on, because that critique went for about 9 minutes, I listened to the whole thing. I took notes here, and thank God you had the audio. Kenny Smith said this about Embiid. Does he enjoy the fruits of the labor or the labor? The shaking to the crowd, that's what he's upset about. Well, you weren't dominating to be shaking to the crowd yet because you should still be locked in because you haven't started dominating yet. What this means is that you like the fruits more than the labor. So is the substance meeting the actual sizzle right now, or is the sizzle more? He's the best player at his position. He has to be great. It showed tonight that obviously the sizzle means more.
Yeah, so
they were mad about the little shake and this and that, but, it's also he can't celebrate or have fun winning.
There's a lot there, right? So
right?
I watched this whole game last night intently, as we often watch a ton of NBA games. I watched the post game, and I actually talked to some of our colleagues down in Philly who covered the 76ers just to get sort of Joel's mindset, and because he's got a big game tonight up in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just be frank about the game that we watched. He and Joker did not seem like they were fully engaged. Like, I want to show you I am the best center in basketball.
Yeah,
that's not the vibe that I got from either of them watching that
and
game.
For substance too, really quick, Jokic, when 13 shots, he made 7. I mean, it was a weak game for him as well.
He didn't shoot a shot until late in the first quarter.
Exactly.
I mean, it was crazy. And these are the two for the last 2 years. So last season and the season before.
Mm-hmm.
These are the 2 first-team All-NBA centers. So at some point in the last 2 years, people like us who pick the All-NBA teams say that these are among the top 5 players in the league, right? Number 1 at their position. They were not playing like that last night. And that's not the vibe I got. That wasn't the juice they were playing with. And I understand what they mean about Charles Barkley saying, hey, when I'm playing McHale, I'm this. Because, look, again, being the advanced age that I am, I remember those regular season games that Barkley, Jordan, Bird, Magic, and those guys played. And you better believe when it was against another superstar of their ilk, those guys ramped up their level of intensity for that game. It's like Charles said, you don't play all 82 games the same way, which you and I have talked about the same way.
Yeah, it's impossible.
But there are certain games on your calendar, circling. I'm coming to get that dude.
Exactly.
Right? And for whatever reason, we didn't see it. And Embiid's numbers are down. And the criticism comes from the standpoint of, look, I think you and I both did. I know I did. I think you did as well. We picked Embiid as the MVP for the season in our preseason predictions.
Yes, and I picked them to go to the finals, the Sixers.
He ain't playing like an MVP right now, and they ain't playing like a finals team now.
Absolutely not.
I know, yes, we're only 20-something games in. Get it. But the problem for him is that when you contrast him with a player like Giannis, who is playing even better than he played last year, right? Like,
absolutely. And they compared him to that in that conversation. Yeah. They compared him to Embiid, and Shaq said, I don't mean to interrupt you, but he said, you want to be good? Fine, be good. But if you want to be great, look at Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's nothing worse than when you take someone and compare them to someone else. That has got to eat you alive.
Well, and the thing is, Embiid's numbers are fine, like 22, and I mean, it's fine, but
they're great numbers, but they're not great for him.
Right. He was 27 and 14 last year. I mean, this is a guy who could average 30, and I mean, he can do that. Like, he is that gifted and that skilled. And he said it himself in his comments, because they were extended. Serena Winters of NBC Sports, he wants to be great. Well, listen, if you want to be great, this is what you have to do. And the enemy of great is very good. Right? Like, and I know that sounds crazy, but like,
I've actually never heard that. I love that.
Very good is the enemy of great. Like,
I love that.
And we say it all the time. Everyone in the NBA is good at basketball. There are only 450 people that play, but there are levels. You want to be a star. You want to be an all-star. You want to be all-time. Like, all-time is a whole different thing.
It's a different ballgame.
And if that's what you want to do, and he said that he wants to be one of the great, well, okay, games like you had against the Nuggets, got to be better than that. And the part with Kenny about the whole shaking to the crowd, look, I don't mind that so much, but I understand Kenny's point. Like, I love the fact that Embiid's a showman, and that's awesome, because at the end of the day, this is entertainment, right? Yep. We are here to get entertained. But Kenny's thing is, if you're going to shimmy and shake, I need you to be having more points and that's fine. Because again, if he was dominating the matchup, Kenny wouldn't have anything to say about that.
Absolutely.
So I understand that point of it. And I just think that it's when he's playing against Jokic, when he's playing against Karl Anthony Towns, when he's playing against Gobert, when he's playing against Anthony Davis, when he's playing against the other big man up, those are the games you want to see him be like, all right, I'm ratcheting it up.
Exactly. And not to mention, I mean, this is a whole separate point that I'm trying to make. We spoke last week or the week before about how, the NBA's ratings have been dipping and this and that. When you're an NBA super fan, even if you're a super fan specifically of the Sixers or the Nuggets or these individual big men, you are tuning in to see this big man matchup. So when you go and it's kind of boring and a little like,
little of a dud, yeah.
It kind of sucks.
Yeah, no. It and look, and the game itself was a good game, and
it was a good game. I caught the tail end of it.
But I think again, especially in this league where matchups are what we sell, right? And it's the two preeminent big men in the sport, and you wanted more out of that. So
you did, yeah.
So I get, and again, particularly coming from someone like Shaq, who was the preeminent big man of his day, right? Like. He wanted to see a certain thing, and Shaq makes a good point. It's like, if you're a dominant big man, 7 points a quarter. Like, I mean, and it doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, it's very difficult to score 28 points a game, but
the way he broke that down, though, I thought was like, I can see it.
If you are that dominant, like 7 points a quarter, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to figure that for someone like Embiid, that's 9 shot attempts a quarter, give or take, right? I mean,
exactly.
8. I mean,
Also, too, I was also, checking out, like I said, I caught the tail end of it, and I watched the postgame. Nuggets coach Mike Malone says after the game when he was asked about Jokic and his performance, he says, the one thing I regret, I got to get Nikola more shots. He's our best player. Yes, they were good defensively, but the more he touches it, the more he shoots it, and good things are going to happen for us. And I thought that was interesting, too. No criticism of his performance whatsoever. He wants to give him the ball more.
Well, I think, too, that's Malone also trying to cover his player and being a coach to, give his players some cover. Because, look, we talked about this a few episodes ago. I have not been happy with how Jokic started the season. He looks a little out of shape.
You said that.
And, again, this is the All-NBA team's first center last season. And he started the season not playing that well. This idea of not shooting for almost a whole quarter and whatever's going on. And, again, I like to give these guys leeway because they're young and it's, but again, in these kinds of matchups, I expect them to dominate. And Malone is right. The more touches Jokic gets, the better Denver is. Because not only can he score, we know that. Jokic is the best passing big man in the game.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, all these other actions and the open shots he can find teammates are wonderful and different things you can run with him. So, I think, this, to wrap this conversation up, we were looking forward to a better matchup between these two, and I'll be curious to see because they both actually play tonight. We're recording this on a Thursday. The Sixers are in Boston. They play the Celtics, and then the Nuggets play Portland. So I'll be very curious to see how both of these two big men come out tonight after some criticism that they received from Tuesday.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And last note there, I think that it's going to be especially interesting to watch Joel Embiid when he comes out after this conversation with the guys on Inside the NBA, just because I think it's evident that Joel Embiid is a more emotional guy.
Yeah.
He wears a lot of his emotions on his sleeve, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how he takes this criticism and turns it around.
He seemed to take it well, right?
His response, I thought it was great. I really do. I wish him the best. I hope he comes back out and turns things around, which I think he will.
And the game's on TNT tonight, so
yes.
Both games. So
very exciting. We're running home after this.
Chuck, Kenny, and Shaq will have things to say.
Exactly. Let's move on here because interesting news is happening in Cleveland. Didn't think I'd say that one, did you? But the NBA trade possibility is expanding beginning December 15th for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have reportedly expressed a willingness in listening to offers for all-star forward and veteran on that squad now, along with Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love. Let me clarify, we're not listening to trade offers for Tristan Thompson. I'm saying he's a veteran with Kevin. But the Cavs are listening to trade offers reportedly. What do we think about this? I think it's time for him to move.
Well, he being Kevin Love, so that was basically Kevin's camp putting out, we don't want to be here, right? That's what that is. He no longer wants to be in Cleveland, which I understand. I mean, they're a young team that's rebuilding.
I don't blame him.
And, look, he's playing with Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. Those guys don't pass, and he's just sort of like, what's happening right now? I mean, they're 5-19. They're not a good squad. And so, Kevin is 31 and he wants to play for a contender and a winner. The question and the problem is, who has the available contracts, number one, to match his in a trade to get
3
him?
years, $90 million.
And who can he help, right? Because that's what's remaining, but he's in year one of a 4-year, $120. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a big fan of Minnesota Kevin Love.
I know you are.
I don't know that he's that player anymore. I think he's still valuable and can do some things, but where can he go to work? And again, who has the contracts and the numbers to match because the salaries have to be equal.
Well, we've talked about this before too. Kevin Love is the kind of player, and that we've agreed on, that you need to place him in a good situation.
Absolutely.
He's pretty injury prone. He's 31. He's got a fat contract. So you have to incorporate all of those aspects. But also the fact that, like we said, you have to put him in a niche spot. He worked so well with LeBron James because he went under the wing and, pretty much did and said in a respectful way what LeBron had in his mind going in Cleveland. That's why it worked so well. And they're also good friends. That doesn't hurt either. But like I said with Kevin Love, there were also reports as well that he wants to potentially play in Portland.
Well, so he's from Oregon, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So what do you think about that?
From a home standpoint. But I don't know that he fits in Portland. Like, look, first of all, contracts. Who are they moving to make the contracts work out?
But the thing is, we always talk about Portland, too, needing that one little edge to come over that hump of CJ and Dame not being able to fully meet.
I know that he is that edge.
Okay.
Again, first
fair,
of all,
fair.
I just don't know how and I have to look at the roster and see who's got what. Who does Cleveland want, first of all, in return?
I mean, we're in rebuild mode, so it's not a lot of people that want to even go there.
Dame and CJ are obviously off the table. They're not getting either 100%. One of those two.
Nope, not at all.
Whiteside just got there. Do you want to swap him out for Whiteside?
Yeah.
Does Cleveland want Whiteside?
I have some people on Instagram Live saying that they think that Kevin Love would be a good fit in Portland.
Who's saying that?
Just a couple listeners.
Listen, if you listeners, listen. We love the interaction.
It's fun.
I just don't see that working. Plus, they got Nurk coming back. Look,
yes, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, we'll get to Nurk later. I don't know. Look, yes, it's the whole home story that makes sense, and that's the rumor. First of all, that rumor has been bandied about for years that he's going back to Portland.
Yeah.
Miami, no, because you got Bam. He's got to go to a place. I mean, Utah. But again, who are you giving up to get him? Like, so the contracts match in Utah.
And plus, the trade talks are going to be interesting because we all know, or if you don't know, the Cavaliers, they're trying to set up a rebuild, which means they're trying to build a young roster for Coach John Beilein. So
yeah, well,
in my opinion, Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson stick out like sore thumbs because of the plan that the Cavaliers seemingly have. Right. Now, we said December 15th represents the date when players who sign free agent contracts in the offseason are eligible to be moved. So,
I mean, he's a stretch 5 at this point for it. I mean, where he'd do well. He doesn't help them defensively, but offensively to stretch the floor, the Lakers or the Clippers.
Can you imagine him and LeBron?
Problem is, neither of those teams have the contracts to move back.
Yeah,
like that's the situation.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll keep our ears to the ground on that to see where we think Kevin Love might go.
Very interested to see where Kevin Love is going to end up. I mean, we also forget too a little bit. He has championship DNA.
Oh.
Leadership, not you specifically. Yeah. I mean, anybody else that may have been debating this as well.
Yeah, I think he's a valuable player. I think the spot where he can fit is so specific that, again, all these teams use their cap space this past summer to sign guys.
Yeah.
So I just don't know where he's going, like from a contract moving standpoint. Again, the salaries have to match. Like that. That's the thing.
And that's that thing with we always revert back to this, especially myself. It's almost like a John Wall size contract. You can't really play around with it. There's not a lot of wiggle room. So yes, you're getting paid fat money, but where are you moving when shit hits the fan and it's time to trade?
Mm-hmm.
But on another note, let's discuss Paul George.
Yeah.
Does he have an axe to grind with Indiana? Because he recently hinted at a tell-all of his Indiana exit. Quote, I'm not the one to boo. As we all know, he gets booed every time he touches the ball, specifically on Monday when it was his first time back in Indiana.
As a member of the Clippers. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah, so what's up?
He's been gone from Indiana he was on Oklahoma City.
Exactly.
I mean,
but you know what? The conversation, it's kind of like a good, juicy tabloid story. It always comes back to one thing, and it's Indiana.
So the question is,
when you think of Paul George, you think Indiana.
Who is he talking about?
Exactly.
Clearly, something went down, and he has some thoughts and some feelings about GM Kevin Pritchard and
the fans do too, apparently.
Well, yes.
Even though we dropped 36 on him.
And potentially Larry Bird as well. Who knows? I don't know. Look, we'll have to see. I think Palmdale P, I think he was just in his feelings a little bit. But listen, it doesn't matter. You killed him. You dropped, what did he drop?
36 and 9.
36 and 9. You got the dub. Let's move it on.
Exactly. After the game, he said about the boos, quote, I'm not surprised. That's Indiana for you. It's a Hoosier thing. And then he says, are we ready for this?
Yeah.
Now, remember, everybody, let me set you up a little bit. He requested his trade from the Pacers in 2017. He says of that, quote, someday I'll do a tell-all and tell the leading events of how I left Indiana, and I promise you, I'm not the one to boo. Fast forward a little bit, quote again, I'm not going to share the teaser. I like being the villain. I'm here 2 nights out of the year. The people they should boo is here a lot longer than I am.
Well,
I love him for that.
So clearly, right, he's talking about management, right? That's who he's talking about.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who've been here longer than him. So we'll see. Look, he's on one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, come on now.
Do your thing, PG. We'll see if this tell-all book comes. I do know, however, that San Antonio was a spot he wanted to go to potentially team up with Kawhi earlier.
Yes.
And that didn't work out. So that could be what he's referring to. But
which will be an interesting story to pull out of the little old time capsule there.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on here. Jarod, you know what? Since you have declared this term, I would like you to segue us into this next one.
So we're bringing back, maybe this is America's number 2 segment.
I love when you say that.
It's another one of our favorite segments here. This team is a dumpster fire.
Major.
And it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. I
had them, and Jarod, I swear to God, I had them, and then I exited out, and I was like, you know what? Let me do another one.
Okay, good.
But you go. Tell me yours. Tell me your reasons.
We just talked about them, right? They're 5-19.
True.
John Beilein, shocking. He's having a tough time coming from college coaching NBA players. No one saw that coming.
Oh, no.
I mean, look, not only that, he's also an older man, and I'm not being ageist, but listen, in college, you don't pay these guys.
Yeah.
So you are the judge, jury, and executioner as head coach. You can do, it's your ship.
What was their record again?
5-19.
Yikes.
You are in the NBA. My man, you don't run things here. That's not how it goes. This is more of a collaborative deal, right? With the players. And so Beilein needs to adjust to that. He's got young guys again, Garland, Sexton. I don't know what's going on in that backcourt. Kevin Porter Jr.
It's painful.
Listen, Kevin Love wants out. I don't know what Tristan Thompson doing. Is he back with Chloe? What's going on with him?
Tristan Thompson is not back with Chloe, but it's interesting that you asked me that because that was my last story of the day today. He continues to leave comments on her Instagram photos, all of them, hearts, everything. And
he's still doing it?
He's still doing it, honey. He is on that I'm going to win her back quest, journey, whatever the hell he's doing, but he's still doing it. But she has confirmed that she is not back with him, which I don't blame her.
I don't blame her either. Look, listen.
Come on, girls.
That's actually the much more exciting thing to talk about on the Cleveland Cavaliers
than
the actual Cavaliers.
Exactly.
So anyway, this team is just not fun to watch. You turn them on, it's kind of but they're players that I like Shetty and Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance, but
exactly.
Anyway, dumpster fire. I'm out on them.
Okay. Well, you could have probably guessed this one because I've been on the dumpster fire rant with them this season of the NBA and our podcast. Golden State. Okay.
Imagine that, going from the mountaintop to a dumpster fire
And you
in
know
literally
what?
a year.
Amen.
Less than a year.
You just set up my next thought because, Jarod, I had the Cleveland Cavaliers. I did. I was going in. But then I hit the backspace and I said, you know what? I'm going with the new dumpster fire who just joined the Losers Club. After winning for so long, and I'm not even trying to make fun of them, but when you actually wrap your mind around it, like take a step back out of our like NBA psyche and really think about it. These guys have been on top. This hurts. It is an ego hit like no other. Although Steve Kerr has said, you know, I'm enjoying this season and blah, 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 and these growing pains and this and that. Honey, these aren't growing pains. This is like problematic, breaking your bones, like surgery problematic.
Here's their thing, though. And the Warriors will never admit this, but this is their gap year.
Yep.
They figure, okay, Steph's hurt.
Let us take a break.
We ain't going to rush him back.
Yeah.
Clay, you know what? No need for you to rush back, my guy.
Right?
Draymond,
Stay in the announcer booth.
Draymond, oh, your back hurts tonight? Why don't you sit out for 2 weeks?
And then that's going to be their kind of coasting segue into, you know what? We're getting
number
ready.
1 draft pick.
We're going to get the number 1 draft pick. We're going to come back on top. Ha to you guys that laughed at us. We got injuries? Yeah. Clay, take your damn time coming back. Steph, do your therapy. Do what you got to do. But they are the number 1 dumpster fire because although they're plagued with injury, they just lost to the Knicks, Jarod.
Yes. Well, listen.
They just lost to the Knicks.
Listen,
and
Tankapalooza, man. Tankapalooza. Listen.
It's a mess. It's a mess in Golden State.
And again, Bob Myers and everybody over there will never admit this, but it's the best possible scenario for them. They're like, okay, we get basically a year of rest for Clay, Steph, and Draymond's going to play sporadically. We'll let D'Angelo Russell get his time to shine so that we either decide, is he staying with us or is he a trade piece?
So I was going to say that his trade value goes up.
With that number 1, if they get it, to then get, I don't know.
LaMelo Ball?
Well, no, not to actually use a draft pick.
But I'm saying if they got him.
To trade the draft pick and D'Angelo for, I don't know, maybe Giannis or
Gerard.
I know. Listen, I don't want to get people all fired up. I know.
I'm sweating.
I know.
I'm really
not
sweating.
that the Bucks will ever do that, but I don't. But you know.
No, but can you imagine?
But can they?
Either way, they have leverage for next season.
Can they put together a package to get another top tier superstar to play alongside Steph, Clay, and Draymond to be on their timeline? Because that's the thing. For Golden State, they're going to want to maximize the Warriors' title window with Steph and Clay, right? Steph's already 31, right? So you can't. They don't have time to fool around with rookies and 18-year-olds.
No.
They want to get established stars. Hey, come play with Steph Curry.
Win
Klay
a chip.
Thompson,
You want an
win some
easy
chips.
chip? Let's
go.
go.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yes, right now they are doing the dumpster fire thing.
Exactly. And you know what, though? You do have a good point, and this is what's going to piss me off and make me eat my words next season after I called them the dumpster fire. This is all probably part of the goddamn plan.
Again, they'll never admit it.
Oh, of course
Never
not.
admit it.
No, you can't admit it.
But
We're going through growing pains. We're learning. We're happy and humble. Okay, we get you. All right, let's move on here because we got to talk about Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, so this is a new segment we're bringing up, and we're going to try to do this more often with
I
the
love
7 Footers
this.
podcast. It's a new segment we're going to call 2 Quick Minutes, and it's 2 quick minutes with Denver Nuggets second-year player, but for all intents and purposes, he's a rookie because he didn't play last year, Michael Porter Jr. He was picked 14th by Denver in the 2018 draft, sat out all of last year with recovering from back surgery. And the Nuggets were in town recently to play the Nets, and I spent 2 quick minutes with Michael Porter Jr.
Love it.
And here is the sound from that interview. A great young man, so we'll get to talk about that.
So, obviously, this being your first official season, but second season, what benefits did you get last year sitting out, sort of watching basketball while you were rehabbing?
You know, as much as I could, like during the games, I would really try to focus in on the ins and outs of the game, how the NBA game is different than the college game, because it's a lot different. Honestly, it's hard sitting out and really trying to pay attention, but as best I could, I would try to, just because I wanted to be a step ahead when I finally got on the court.
And so you mentioned, obviously, there's a big jump from college to the NBA, and every rookie talks about it, but what is the most surprising thing when you step on the court in the NBA for the first time?
there's no weak links on teams. Like, everybody's good. You know what I mean? Every player, you have to guard every single player. Any player can get hot. You know what I mean? It's not like there's weak players out there.
Mm-hmm. So that 2018 draft class you were in, you guys were all AAU and that sort of thing. I remember all those guys saying that, no, MPJ, that's the guy. Like, he was the best guy in that class. What does that make you think when you hear that from your peers from that draft class?
I mean, it means a lot, you know. I appreciate those guys respecting what I did in high school. So.
And so now, being a part of the Denver Nuggets, you're sort of, it's the gift and the curse, right? You've got a team that's very good, that was the number 2 seed in the Western Conference last year. Now, you know, you're trying to battle for playing time and minutes. So if you're on a worse team, you get a lot more minutes, right? Because they're going to play everybody. But you're on a better team now trying to fit in. So what's the good and the bad with that scenario?
The good is that we're winning, you know what I mean? I'm on a winning team. I love all these guys, very unselfish team. The downfall is just, like, I'm another team I could be starting, you know what I mean? You never know. But I'd rather win. I'm a winner, and I'm willing to go through this tough stage and come out the other side and be on a winning organization.
Oh, all right, and last one for you. Away from the court when you're playing, what's the music that you young kids are listening to? And let me look. I just turned 41, so when you get past 35, you don't need new music. It's hard to get into. But what are you listening to now?
Man, I honestly listen to a lot of this might sound crazy, but I listen to a lot of Christian rap.
Okay.
I try to listen to a lot of Christian rap. Then I try to listen to like a lot of meditation music. Like there's this thing called binaural beats. Different frequencies that you can use to help increase your brain power and stuff like that. I've been really interested in that lately, so I'm trying to stay away from some of the trap music, you know what I'm saying? Stuff that I feel like weighs down on me sometimes. It changes my mindset. I'm trying to stay away from that for a little bit.
And is that because of what you've gone through from an injury perspective, that you're like, look, I need to keep my head frame in the most positive space possible? That's
part of it, yeah. Just overall, like, just keeping my soul healthy, you know what I mean? Like, it's bigger than basketball for me. You know, I'm a spiritual person, so I try to just keep that part of me healthy.
Appreciate it.
So, you know, obviously, Jenna, you know, because I've talked about MPJ a lot on this pod and various. I was very excited for this kid. He had a lot of. I mean, he's got a lot of talent and potential, and
he's great.
Just spending a couple minutes with him made me like him even more.
He's a very nice young man.
He's a very, very nice young man. It's funny, I was talking to Nick, the head of the Denver Nuggets PR, and I was like, he's such a nice young man. I was like, please don't flatten that out of him. Like, I was like,
I know.
You know, he's really, really a wonderful young man. And Nick was funny. He's like, no, he comes from a great family, and
he does.
And we're good. We think we got a good one. Because, you know, you and I talk about it all the time. It's not about us, but there are players who are much easier to deal with than others. That's just a fact of how.
I mean, it's a fact of life.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's always nice when you have people who are like willing to engage with you and talk. Who, you know.
And he gave nice, in-depth answers.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had everything from 2-word answers to novels, so I get it.
And young players, I always joke, they don't know any better because, and by the time they get halfway through their rookie year, they're like, oh, forget this. They give you all the stock cliche answers, but. You know, it was nice to talk to him, and it is a tough situation for him because he's uber talented. But Denver is a team that is good. I mean, they're struggling right now. They're 14-8, 15-8, somewhere around there. And he's battling for playing time. And he's an offensive player, used to having the ball in his hands. But you're not going to get playing time on this team, and they're going to be running sets for you. That's not.
It's not how it's going to work on this specific team. If you're on the Kings, the Hawks,
not right now anyway.
Yeah.
So what he has to do, and he's been doing that in the minutes that he's been getting, grab rebound because he's 6'10", so he's huge. And he's got he's got huge hands.
Yeah.
Grab the ball, like cut, like do those things, and then as you start working, that will earn you more playing time, and then you can get more opportunities to showcase what you can do offensively. And so I really hope that. Because it is tough for him because he wants to play. And in that interview that day, that was when they played the Nets. He didn't play at all in that game. But he did play the other night in that game we mentioned against the 76ers.
Yeah.
With Jamal Murray going down. So, you know, I hope that he continues to work. And whenever his number's called, he gets an opportunity to show what he can do.
I mean, number one, that was a great interview by you. And I think it's so interesting that Michael Porter Jr. said how much he's been tapping into his mental psyche from his music to things that he's listening to. Because like you said, he has had a hard transformation from college into the NBA. Specifically, he was supposed to go top 5 in the draft.
Yep.
He goes 14 because of his injuries, back injury specifically. He sits out his rookie year. So you're missing all those firsts.
Yep.
Now you're sitting here in the background watching. That's frustrating on the mental and the physical aspect of it because you want to get out there like a kid in
They're
a candy
ballers.
store.
These guys want to play.
Exactly. Not to mention, he's a young guy. His mind is still developing as well. So he's going through those struggles. And we also talk about how he's fighting for playing time on a good team. So he also, like you said, he's grabbing rebounds now. He's doing different things, which means he's got to pull more tricks out of his bag than what he's used to because he's an offensive player. He's touching the ball. But now he's got to transform his game. So he's going through those changes as well, which I give him kudos.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. I've had a chance to interview him when he was drafted. So that was when he was just getting a surgery. So he's going through those growing pains too. And he's a great guy. I mean, he's got a lot to go through and still, but he sounds like a very mature young
listen,
man.
he said he's a spiritual person grounded in his faith, so
Yeah.
that's something he can lean on. And look, again, I'm rooting for him. And people always ask, "Oh, do you root for teams?" I'm like, no, I don't have teams that I root for.
Me too. They
Like,
asked me about teams. I'm like,
well, once we become journalists, you're like, that's not
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
But there are players and guys in the league that we like, that we want to see do well, right?
Of
And Michael
course.
Porter Jr. is one of those guys.
yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's move on here really quick and let's talk about which games we're looking forward to coming up before our big Christmas Day show.
Yeah. So some quick ones for me.
Yeah.
So next week, there are 3 games on the schedule that I'm looking forward to. Hornets and Pacers on Sunday. I know, Hornets sounds crazy, only because the Hornets are better than
That is
we
a
thought they'd
very
be.
interesting pick. And the Miami Heat. That's a conversation for another time. But yes.
Hornets Pacers on Sunday. You know I love DeMontis Sabonis.
Yes, you do.
And there's a player on the Hornets I'm going to mention later that we'll talk about.
Nice.
Lakers Pacers on Tuesday. Again, Pacers getting a lot of love from me.
You are getting.
Listen,
yeah.
I want to see Sabonis and Turner against that big front court of the Lakers, AD and LeBron James.
Like it.
And then Heat 76ers. The Heat.
Ooh, that was on mine, but I took it off.
The Heat are playing so well.
So good.
And the 76ers, we talked about them.
They're a little weak right now.
They're not playing up to the potential we think they can, but there's another level they can get to.
Absolutely. All right, my 3 matchups. You're going to be surprised about this one, but you know what? I had to give my dumpster fires a little bit of love here, and I picked the Kings and the Warriors next week on the 15th, or this week on the 15th, because you know, it's going to be a good matchup because they're 2 equally bad dumpster fires.
Sacramento's better, actually.
So, amen. Agree.
And
My
Bagley's
guy.
back.
My guy, Bagley's back, so
Yeah.
I'm ready for him to put on a show and get a dub against the Dubs.
He should.
Okay, had to give the dumpster fires some love. My second matchup is on the same day, Sunday, Sixers-Pistons, specifically because I want to see the big man matchup
Embiid
between
and Drummond.
Yep, between Drummond and Embiid. So I want to see, and again, this is a chance for Embiid to redeem himself off of the conversation we spoke about earlier.
As he often says, he owns space in Drummond's head, so I think that should be.
That was my next note.
Was
My
it?
heart, we are gelling so well this week. Yes, and because of that past little feud, so I am ready for this matchup. And lastly, I mean, again, probably no surprise with this one, which I'm surprised you didn't pick it, but it's kind of obvious. The 19th, we have the Lakers and the Bucks.
That's I figured you would. It's like
You
one
know,
of us
honey,
is gonna pick it.
you know me. 2 number 1 teams in their respective conferences. This is a good matchup.
And
It's great entertainment in its own.
And the thing we're gonna see there, Giannis, LeBron, and AD are gonna come out.
Exactly.
Playing like, hey,
Yep.
because this is a potential finals matchup, right?
Exactly. Potential's final matchup, not to mention we talked about Giannis earlier, and he is playing better than last season. I didn't think it was possible. The MVP is playing better. What is their award above MVP? A champion.
Just multiple-time MVP.
So let's see what they got. I'm ready for this little nice preview and a little gift before Christmas. So that is that. Now,
quick hits.
Exactly.
Before
I
we
love
get out
this
of here.
too. Yeah, let's
Hey,
talk.
James Harden's still on a scoring tear. 55
yeah.
points and a win over the Cavaliers. But here's what's interesting about his stat line. He was 20 of 34, 10 of 18 from 3, only 5 free throw attempts. So for those of you that say, all he does is go to the free throw line, he scored 55 points with only 5 free throw attempts.
Check the numbers,
so he can do
baby.
it. Exactly.
Check 'em.
Shout out to Devontae Graham, Charlotte
Yes.
Hornets. I just saw him play last night. He dropped 40 points on the Nets. Listen, this is a second-year player out of Kansas, second-round pick.
Second round pick.
He's averaging 23 points, 8 assists in his last 10 games, shooting 45% from 3. I had no idea this was coming from him. Shout out to our friend, co-host of the Beyond the Journal podcast, Aaron Schiffman. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. She loves Deontay Graham, loves Kansas.
Yes, Aaron.
Listen, he's good. Shouts to Davis Bertans from the Washington Wizards. Listen, Bertans in his last 10, 19 points per game on 48% from three, 66.6% effective field goal, 67.4 true shooting percentage. Where the hell did Davis Bertans come from?
Exactly. And Wizards note really quick. I know they are going through some lulls. Wall's still out, but Bradley Beal is playing incredible. We need to give him a shout out.
He is.
He's stellar.
Wizards offense is doing it.
Stellar.
And Yusuf Nurkic, Jamie Hudson, NBC Sports,
your boy,
caught video of Nurkic running the stairs.
Very happy.
Look, I'm not saying he's coming back soon, but he's obviously doing his rehab, and there's been rumors floating around that he could be back by January. So he's running stairs. So listen, that could help Portland.
Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, let's talk here too. Really quick note: today broke on the 12th of December. Nets release Iman Shumpert due to a full roster. There is no bad blood there. He tweeted thanking them, saying that they're an incredible organization, nothing but good things to say, and he loved his time there, although it was short.
Wilson Chandler's coming off suspension, so they need to clear a roster spot.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, they went 9-4 with Shump, so they kept it up.
And listen, I'm actually kind of surprised because Shump's defense really spurred them on. So, and I thought,
surprised.
And I thought they'd want to keep it up. But listen, Kenny and Sean had talked about it for weeks. It was going to be a tough decision, and so
got to do what you got to do. Next note here: Kings and Bucks to coach prison games. I think this is great.
Yeah,
I really do. I think it's awesome. I think it's a good infiltration into the prison system instead of certain normal tasks that I assume that they do,
right.
Let's get fitness, but kind of tied into this. And it's a good giving back type of gesture.
And I think it's nice for these guys who are trying to rehabilitate their lives to get some connection to, these levels of athletes and what they do.
Maybe they can, exchange advice, things like that. And maybe, some of these incarcerated men and women can, I didn't read too much in the details, but maybe, they can find a passion in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Change some things around in the prison system. So I like it. And let's move on really quick here. Last but not least, my guy, LeBron James. I mean, we all know that he is known for his physical fitness, but he has just partnered with the new Calm app that focuses more on mental fitness. So now we're going to speak more about strengthening the mind as opposed to the body, something that LeBron James has proven time and time again that he has mastered. In 17 years of playing. So kudos to him. I mean, he gave a bunch of quotes on this. You guys can read up on it. It's a really great thing, and it's an incredible partnership. I think it's a match made in heaven.
I mean, I think, look, we talk about it all the time. It's as much as your physical body's important, as well, your physical health, your mental health is just as important.
Yeah.
So very glad that LeBron's doing this. Just some quick housekeeping notes, everybody. You know where to find us. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on the CLNS Media Network. You can find us on YouTube. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, at 7footers Podcast, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemon Selly. Now, our next episode will be the Christmas Day games preview. We're going to break down each matchup, tell you what we're excited to see, what we're looking for. And that will be the last episode of the 7footers Podcast before the new year.
Yes, and then we come back bigger, better, stronger than ever with more critiques, opinions, and just fun chit-chat. Yeah. New Year is going to be good, 2020 for the 7footers Pod. We are expanding all the time. We're introducing you guys to new segments. And again, thank you for listening, supporting, subscribing. We've seen this little pod that can grow.
The little pod that could.
grow so nicely, and it's become a really nice community, I have to say. There's so many people supporting us.
Absolutely.
I mean, the CLNS network, we have the Gotham Podcast Studio. So, just very grateful to where we're at right now. I think our flow has been fire, honey.
Fire.
Not to mention Jarod's wardrobe has been stellar, like his vocabulary.
Oh, here we go.
I love it. I'm never letting it go. I love it. Thank you guys so much. Rate, review, subscribe. We love you guys.
Peace.